ITSEC 2011. This is the Bohemia interactive booth, and we're going to just take you around to show you some of the things that we're showing here. Starting with our helicopter door gun system. This has been built by VSS, Virtual Simulation Systems. What it's showing is VBS2 running in multi-channel. We're connected to a door gun, a simulated minigun, as you can see. And what we have here is two projectors running VBS2. One on the left, one on the right. This is a Solomon terrain area. It's geo-specific terrain. And Craig Turner here is about to engage some targets using the gun. Let's go and have a look. So what we're here at is the first release version of VBS 2.2.0. I'm going to give you an example of that now. And VBS 2.2.0 is the next generation of VBS technology. It's built on a completely new game engine, the game engine behind the Arma 2 series of computer games. It has much improved graphics, a completely new rendering engine. So it has improved particle effects, it has parallax mapping on the ground. So if we come in, we can see on the ground, we have parallax mapping creating this really nice effect of rocks on the terrain. We have ultra high resolution textures. What we also have added in VBS 2.2.0 is micro AI. I'm just going to go into the real-time editor now. So what we'll actually see is that the AI have a much better understanding of the terrain and the ability to move through smaller spaces. They also will try and use aspects of the terrain for cover. So we'll follow this guy along. So you can see I'll actually walk in reverse. They'll move in to try and get a bit more cover from the various features that are around them. And they can also lean around corners when they need to. Right, so next stop in our booth tour is EuroSimTech, and these guys have been doing some amazing work, and we'll head over to Frank here to talk you through it.
Alright, the first product we're showing is C3ITS, which is a command and control interface for VBS2. So this is kind of an extension for VBS2 to allow you the control of higher echelon units. Usually in VBS2 you can control personnel level, vehicles and so on, and this would be an interface for people to control companies. For example, in this case we have an infantry platoon set up in this case. We can look at it in detail, so we can look at the individual squads within this platoon, and using the interface, the commander or an instructor, for example, can move around the unit. He can place additional waypoints. You can change the action at a given waypoint, change the watch direction, for example, and change the general behavior, which is defined in VBS2, which can be changed here as well. Sorry about that. And this kind of interface, which gives you an overview of what the unit consists of, and where you can detail, change the behavior as well. And if you would like to change formation, the spacing between units, and so on. And all of this works in a network scenario, which means all of these units you can see here, as well as on the opposite side, if you're fighting against another force, can be either controlled by a human. So if you give a command to a squad commander, he would see these kind of waypoints on his own screen, and he would have to follow them. Or if you have an AI control unit behind that, the AI control unit will move along these waypoints. Because everything works within VBS2, so this is not just a two-dimensional world we're living in, so everything works in VBS2. We have the detailed 3D environment of VBS2, and behind every unit we set up, behind every company, behind every platoon, we can zoom in and look in detail what these units are made of. So for example, this infantry squad, you can see the individual forces, the individual soldiers, of course, and the individual vehicles as well. And in this kind of interface, it works in the same way, whether they are in the map or in the 3D view. You can, in the same way, control your waypoints and interact with all the units. Okay, the next product we're showing off here is VBEdit, which is a scenery and terrain generator for VBS2. And the main difference to the existing editor in VBS2 called Visitor is that this works directly within the VBS2 environment, in the 3D environment. So what you see here and how you interact with your objects or your terrain objects is directly what you see in the final result, in the final training scenario. and it has many different tools and functionality to help you to place objects within the 3D world very precisely. Or as you can see here, you can collect groups and select them together and modify them in a very easy way. So in this case, for example, we have a wall builder functionality, which means you can very easily, with a few clicks on the map, create a wall without placing the individual wall objects. This just takes a couple of minutes or even just 1 minute here, where instead if you were to do it in a 2D interface, or if you would have to place objects individually, would probably take up half an hour or so. And as you can see here, you can select groups of objects collectively, like this here, like these fences you put on top of the wall. You can change them as you would, so as they fit correctly on the wall here. Rotate things, rotate groups of objects, and with just a few mouse clicks we have created this kind of, I don't know, jail or whatever kind of structure this would be in a real world.
Alright, okay. So basically a very detailed way of actually changing your terrain within VBS directly.
Exactly, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Next, around our booth, we have CASPIAN Learning, and Chris here is from CASPIAN, and he's going to show the work that we've been doing with VBS Worlds with NATO ACT. Over to you, Chris.
So NATO have built a ship simulation called Borders Ahoy. They built in a different engine. And our challenge was, could we put this using VBS 2 assets to put it through thin client, to put it through mobile technology, so they could distribute it across many more learners. So we used our VBS Worlds engine, which is our thin client version, which we use for VBS 2. And we've loaded in. This is the editor. So we've loaded in some models from that existed inside of Borders Ahoy, which is the simulation to start with, and we pulled those directly into VBS Worlds. VBS Worlds is a rapid development tool that enables non-programmers to build simulations like Borders Ahoy in a very quick time frame. This is actually turned around in 7 days. I think the original took 6 months, and we had the advantage that we had the art built, but still 7-day time turnaround is pretty good. So you can see in VBS Worlds I can pull in my VBS 2 assets, and I can pull in also some from open source from different libraries. I can also start creating some interactivity. And I can also storyboard, flowchart my scenario. And that's how they were able to build it so quickly. When I'm finished, I can now export this. So here is the working version of Borders Ahoy. This one's running on a Windows PC, but also we can output this as a Java applet, so it runs through the web, through a SCORM-enabled LMS. And we can also run it through an iPad, and also through Android platforms. This version is single player. We'll be deploying this in February as a multiplayer experience for the NATO client.
And of course, the really important part of VBS Worlds is that you can reuse VBS 2 content. So you can reuse your VBS 2 terrain and your 3D models in these new training games for deployment on multiple platforms. New products, we've got VBS Remote. They've also fixed some of our Convoy scripting. So I'll hand it over to Torsten and talk you through it.
Hello, my name is Torsten from ESG, and I'm presenting today VBS Remote. It's a device that enables the exercise director to make full use of VBS during an exercise. And what we have, we put several functionalities on the tablet. So here's the opportunity to connect to the exercise and the full situational awareness of the exercise with all entities. And you can select the different entities by simply clicking on the map that is shown on the screen. You can pre-select different views, that you can set up to 4 different views during an exercise and can watch them simultaneously as the exercise director. You can also select all entities with a list. We have filtering mechanism that you can select probably your own troops or also on the map in order to discuss this with your trainees, that you move to your trainees and tell them that they have to do something else without disclosing the opponent forces and other objects, and you can step back to your own view. We have implemented also the different camera steering mechanisms, So in this case, we have, for example, the Apache helicopter. We can toggle through the pilot view, the gunner's view, and if you go back to the third person's view, we have also the opportunity with all functions to steer the camera and is simply implemented like a joystick functionality. You zoom out with the camera, you can move around with the camera, and everything is here, as well as the record button in order to record important situations of the exercise for later on after actual review.
The company that we're going to show you at our booth is Excitement, and we're very excited to be working with Excitement. We've integrated ExciteMap with VBS2, and we're working in partnership to bring you much better AI within the product. So I'm going to hand over to Mike, and he's going to talk you through the products.
Great. So we just want to do a quick demonstration for you on Excite Control. Excite Control is our finite state machine and character behavior tool. So what it allows you to do is take characters and actually give them very specific behaviors in any given scenario. So I'm going to invite Andreas Clearin, who's our demo artist, to come in. And we're just going to give you a real brief overview of what Excite Control does. So first and foremost, you'll notice it's a tool. So you don't need to have C++ background or a scripting background. Any user can get in here and within a day begin to generate nav meshes, generate behaviors, do path requesting, all within inside a user interface. So what Andreas is doing right now is he's just creating a very basic state machine. And from these state machines, we'll derive behaviors for characters. Do you want to just really briefly explain what we're doing with the states?
I'm creating here from basic behaviors like guard or patrol I set up earlier, a more expressive behavior by having a deciding state so the character can decide if it's going to patrol or to guard. You can really adjust behavior easily. You can even have control from outside events, like let's say the character is attacked. Just place in your state, set transition to it, and assign the outside event, which is always customized. Then you can react with a different state. How are you on?
So the point here is you can put additional behaviors, and then with the finite state machine, it can transition from one behavior to the next. So maybe we could just show a live version of
sure.
What we're talking about.
Let me start up a little city demonstration, populating a city with pedestrians. So this demonstration is using ExciteMap for movement and path requests, and Excite Control for behavior.
So you'll notice that everybody's walking around town. They have little icons over their head, and they're just feet right now. So nobody has any specific purpose at this point in time. What Andreas is going to do is he's going to give each one of these characters a very specific person or purpose, and then he'll re-export the data, re-import the data, and then immediately it will change, and you'll see different icons over the people's heads.
So let me go to the civil life, and currently they are just performing this behavior. They want to change the behavior they're performing, just made my adjustments, save it, go back to the simulation, push one button, and now they're performing different behaviors.
So you'll notice that they have different icons over their heads. So some people have bananas, others have coins, and there's even ones that have markets. So now these particular characters are avoiding each other in the pathways you'll see, or the sidewalk. But some of them are going to the bank, others are going to the store, others are going to, say, the fruit market. But just that simply, you can create character behaviors on the fly.
So this is the Abbottabad database, which is an example of rapid generation of a complex urban scene. It's the Osama bin Laden compound. Bohemia Interactive produced a very high detail, very high fidelity model of Osama bin Laden compound and passed that to us at TerraSim. We then created a 5 kilometer by 5 kilometer operational area showing all the buildings, roads, foliage, and other contents. And that's an example of how both manual modeling and automatic generation of high fidelity urban environments can be accomplished by Bohemia and TerraSim working together and using our tools.
Hi, my name is Jim Koch with the Georgia Tech Research Institute. We are the applied research arm of Georgia Tech, and we do a lot of work for the Department of Defense, so that's why we're here at the conference. I specifically work within the Information and Communication Lab at GTRI, and we do a lot of software systems for the DoD. And the one that I work on is Falcon View, which is shown right here. Falcon View is a mission planning tool that was initially developed for pilots within the military so that they could plan out the routes they were going to fly, how they were going to address threats in the area, and so they could fly their route safely. But in the last few years, it has also evolved into being a large-scale simulation and tracking system for example, Blue Force tracking or for training systems. So that's the work that I do at GTRI, and I hope that everybody enjoyed the show. Thank you.
Hey, we've got ourselves a joint firearms demonstration here, and BAE Systems pick the best training media for people to fulfill their training requirements. So for an FAC or a joint terminal attack controller, we're actually using VBS2, as it is a commercial off-the-gate shell that has been developed significantly for the gaming market. So we take that straight off the shelf and utilise it in our JTAC/FAC scenario.
Okay, for this year's ITSEC, we were using a single screen setup. We had a 240 Bravo and several M4s. We're basically showing a environment where a fire team could, on a single screen, go through and engage human targets. On our other system, we were set up using a magnified optical system that taught designated marksman, sniper, and normal rifle tasks. We use these in a combination of normal VBS scripting, add-on design, fusion, and we can leverage them all together to have multiple screens, multiple shooters, multiple optics, all fighting in the same environment, tied in with strike, fires, and any other VBS peripherals.
So this is the JDOM booth here at ITSEC in 2011. These guys have created a small dome, and John's going to talk about that in a while, but they actually use VBS2 for their software as well. So, John?
This is the first deployable immersive system that puts you right inside the 3D world. Now we're running it VBS2 from Bohemia Interactive Software. And you just used off-the-shelf hardware, and it is deployable in about 15 minutes, and it makes it feel like you're sitting right inside the vehicle. It can also be used in the field for tactical training. So if we go to the tactical field, here you have the tactical trainer. So it's just unfold this in 30 seconds if you have everything else set up, and go.
Stepping out. All right, gentlemen, listen up. Look off to the west, you see that smoke trail. Higher reports possible IED, possible bomb maker in a building located nearby. Let's move through the market support, cover down the road to the west. On the roof! On the roof! On the roof! He's down! Roger. Push around the left side of the house. Roger.